All right. Welcome to another episode of Movie Night Autopsy, the show where we do some film celebrating and cultural talking abouts. My name is Sam.
I'm Chad.
I am Aaron.
And today we have a very special guest here with us. Not only is he a former veteran combat of the Marine Corps, Iraq, medic, just all that good stuff, but he's also a former DJ from TK101, the rock station. Roadie boy himself, Ryan, thank you for joining us.
Hi, I'm Ryan.
And we've actually talked about him a couple of times on the podcast, just because a couple of movies we've talked about on the podcast are movies he turned us on to, like Brazil being one of those.
If you mention listen back to Terry Ismos Gilliam, I think we refer to you by your full name.
Nice.
Just because you deserved most of the credit for any of us watching.
Well, I introduce what we're going to be talking about tonight to you guys also.
That's why you're here, buddy.
Yeah.
That is right.
That and you know, none of us else was doing anything on Tuesday.
Well, I watched this shit years ago, but I'm glad to have been.
Yeah, that's actually the case for all of us, as we watched it years ago.
Yeah.
And Ryan was in town, and we watched it, and now we're just deciding to talk about it. And with that being said, have we all calmed down from the Lost Skeleton of Cadavra?
I don't know that you can.
Yeah,
there's. It's funny because we got together to watch it again last night, and we get over here, and you have it on randomly, and we decide to wait to record.
Well, Aaron actually hadn't gotten a chance to see it yet.
Oh wow!
Yeah, but what I'm saying is I watched it years ago.
Oh yeah,
I watched it a while ago, but I just completely had forgotten about it.
There's so much going on in that movie subtly that you can't have seen it years ago and then come talk about it. You gotta get fresh on what's going on.
Absolutely, yeah.
You got to get that rewatch in, and just the nuance of this film, and just it's a masterclass of narrative and.
Well, the way that they pay so much attention to making it seem so terribly put together, while simultaneously doing it so consciously that it's a special kind of genius. To be honest,
you'd believe it to be sincere.
It's like if a singer,
even if you didn't know that it was on purpose.
And
like,
it feels like
makes sense.
it feels as terrible as it should feel, but they did it intentionally. And
it's like if a singer tried to sing off key. You know how hard that is?
It's hard.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
It's really hard. These actors who are fantastic actors.
Or to play a bad chord with confidence.
Yeah,
like,
just cheat.
Like you know what you're doing's bad, and you can't pretend like it's the right thing.
Compartmentalize that part of your brain where quality comes from.
But
it's like Andy Kaufman-esque.
I was about to throw it off on guard, you know.
Yeah.
Just in the way they just intentionally, it was terrible, like pretty much anything that's off on guard.
Yeah, from the cinematography just to some of the cheesy sound effects.
I was yelling last night, trying to yell. I'm fighting off a cold, but I was just kept saying like, why? Like how does it look this bad? Like how?
Yeah.
Like me and Ryan shot something last week, and it still looks better, and we weren't trying that hard. And this, you have to try.
And you shot it on a phone.
And I shot it on what part? I only wanted things on a phone.
Yeah, just the one.
Just the one bit.
Just the thing.
Yeah,
fair enough.
And that's what makes this a special kind of genius, is they recognize exactly what it is to make a terrible movie. They've obviously watched so many terrible movies that they know how to emulate it so perfectly, where it's not only watchable, but it's hilarious. It's perfect. It's a perfect.
Yes, sometimes it's funny bad, and sometimes it's just like, oh, that was funny.
Yeah.
That is the best part about this, is because there's times when the comedic timing is almost like a masterclass in some of the funny bits.
Yeah, like with the alien couple.
Yeah, like the dinner scene.
The dinner scene is, oh man.
But some stuff is just funny because it's just wrong and should not be in film.
But but it's actually it was done by Larry Blemire. Is that how you say his last name? I don't know.
I'm going to stick with Blemire.
But he's done a couple other things like this, like The Trail of the Screaming Forehead.
Yeah, they did a sequel to this one, didn't they?
They did a sequel to this one.
The Lost Skeleton returns again.
Which I don't think any of us have ever gotten a chance to see, unfortunately.
Well, no, to be blessed with 2 Lost Skeleton movies in our lifetime, I don't think I deserve that.
Oh, and Dark and Stormy Night. That's another one that he did.
That sounds like a cool bad movie. name title.
I think my favorite part about this movie is when the skeleton actually shows up. He is so over the top ridiculous. It's like
who were stupid.
it completely
Yeah,
it
I was
like,
completely
no.
goes beyond the fourth wall.
I love every line from the skeleton.
Because it's like clearly they've gotten to the point where it's beyond the fourth wall.
Yes, that's what I just suggested.
Exactly. Yeah, they can't.
But then on top of the jokes, the dialogue, and how bad and good the audio of the skeleton is at the same time,
Yeah, it's like bad, good audio.
they managed
Or good,
to
bad?
do physical comedy with
Yeah.
with a plastic schoolroom skeleton.
Yeah, like they just went to the local
clearly-
middle school. They went to the science room and said,
they
"Can we
probably-
borrow this for just like an hour?"
Yeah,
Borrowed
With
it.
clearly visible strings holding it up.
climb down
And when
like I
climbing down,
do.
when climbing down the rocks, you can clearly see all this, every single screw
Well,
holding
half
the
the-
skeleton
Half
together.
the time with the I'm not even gonna call it wire work, the string work. You see the person.
It's like fishing line.
Yeah, it's like you see the person like his hands a little bit in the shot, or maybe
Yes.
someone's
Yeah,
far off
there's
the
definitely
screen.
one shot that you see that.
Yeah. Which makes me think like, man, do they really embrace the idea behind the production schedule and like the production premise of bad B movies like this? Like, did they just go, no, we're spending too much money?
Oh yeah,
we need
back
to
in the
borrow
day,
more
they had
stuff."
to shoot it in like 4
an hour.
days on $20
Yeah.
in a burrito that they split.
Among all the crew.
The whole crew. That burrito's gotta last 20 days.
And that the fact that they use various different like monster outfits is kind of indicative of the fact that they basically like whatever they had on hand, whatever monster costume they had, they were like, we'll just fucking use that.
No, well,
Because
the
it's
monster,
on set.
if you're talking about the mutant costume,
mutant costume,
yeah,
yeah.
it's very clearly like an outfit for a piece of corn on the cob or something like that.
Yeah.
Just the bottom part, the
And
top part's like
and
a
they
weird
put like
frog.
they put some kind of three-eyed monster head on top
Yeah.
of it.
Yeah, it's indicative of like, oh, we'll just add another 30 minutes to this movie by creating this crazy mutant monster thing.
And that explains the mutilations.
Oh
It-
god, the horrible mutilations.
Yeah, I feel like
Oh, well.
I feel like when they were coming up with the concept for the monster costume, like the director
You're being
goes,
generous saying it's a concept.
you know, I think the director went to the the prop room, where you can find all that stuff, and they're like, hey, what do you need? And he's just like, yeah,
But I think
Let's
all
lie
that.
around.
But I think all that is intentional. I think. that-
Yes,
these
yeah,
things are
totally.
closest to me.
Well, you think whenever he was putting this movie together, he was telling his crew, it's like, you know what this movie could mean for the world of filmmaking? It can mean actual advancements in the world of filmmaking
But honestly,
because it's the same guy.
I honestly think it could, though. This is something, if I were a film student, I would study that.
Oh yeah, you could
Absolutely.
You could definitely get a term paper out of this.
Yeah,
out of this
but you got to be careful not to get
situation.
like Lost Skeleton like vision, to where if you see something that's good, you don't like it.
You mean you
because
could,
you've been
like
watching-
where you can hear somebody talking loudly in the brush over there, but you look over and you don't see him.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm. That's
Yeah.
exactly what I'm talking about.
I don't know. I always kind of feel that when you come to a movie like this, where it's obviously these people are just having fun with the concept and playing with it and just doing what they can, but it's like obviously like if this guy intended to, he could make a good movie. And
Well, he's made plenty of movies before. This is not like his first movie.
yeah.
He's made but they're all like schlocky B stuff because that's what the budget.
But that's the problem. It's like this guy clearly understands what he's doing, and I would like to see him try. That would be fun.
Yeah,
to
give
see
it the
him
old
try.
college try. Just give it a shot. But at the same time, I feel like he's like found his niche. It works.
And that's not really contingent upon him and his own abilities and drive.
Yeah.
You can tell he's an artistic director and writer and that he's got a vision, but what studios are going to let him realize that vision in a big budget manner?
No, absolutely.
You know?
Yeah.
Blumhouse,
Absolutely, I
maybe.
agree.
But
Yeah.
like I feel like if I was, I don't know, I got this feeling this guy's like kind of found his thing. Like he's able to have a living making the films he wants to make, and no one really tells him how to do it.
And a smoking hot wife.
Yep.
Well, and
And a
in addition
mala.
to that, now
Or Pammy, depending on what part of the movie you're in.
now
Or 4 small woodland creatures.
Yep.
He's married to
To
them all.
four small woodland creatures.
now that I think of it though, like look at Peter Jackson and what he did. Like he made some schlock shit early on.
He
and
made
that,
the
like,
best schlock.
Oh, he did.
Dead Alive
yeah.
is like the crazy. We gotta watch that. It's so good.
Man, you know,
Well,
I really want to go see that train wreck he's got in the theaters.
I kind of.
That's not what we're talking about, but I know what you mean.
Yeah, but you brought up Peter Jackson. That's
So we
all I
gotta
can
talk
think
about
of is
Mortal
it's
Mortal-
gonna lose so
Mortal
much money.
Engines.
This
Mortal
isn't the place to talk
Engines.
about
Mortal
that.
Okay,
let's
if we-
let's just
No.
go ahead and deflect it, and instead of saying him, let's just say Sam Raimi.
Though we
Sam
should.
Raimi's made a career out of taking the best thing from schlock and making it work, and it works on these big budget scales. We see this with like Quick and the Dead and Spider-Man movies.
Speaking of Quick of the Dead, I believe Faye Masterson was in Quick of the Dead.
And indeed, she is in this film and does a fantastic job.
That is
She
a-
is
Yeah,
the most.
she plays the scientist's wife.
See, there's like dialogue and there's
The dialogue is so bad.
but there's also like actress portrayals in this that's
but it's
like
good bad.
yeah, but there's like good bad and there's some people who like really own the earnestness of how bad it is.
Oh,
and I feel
definitely.
like Faye does that really well.
I love
Like
every
she is that wife.
No, the
No, no,
actors
no, she is.
understand what's
Totally.
expected of them. And
Same
Brian
with,
Brian Howe is Dr. Roger Fleming.
I've
same,
seen him in
same
stuff.
thing.
That
That
guy's
guy was
good.
Yeah,
that
he
guy
has
was
been in some other
fucking great.
stuff. He was
Yeah.
he was in the Newsroom.
That's probably where I've seen him. I watched the hell
Well,
out of that.
he pulls off, and all of them do. They pull off these really awful lines in a sense that it's understood to be stupid. So they pull it off in a way that it's enjoyable in how stupid it is, which is almost more difficult than doing it in a genuine way.
Yeah.
I like to think of it like
Comedy is so much more difficult than drama.
And and what's impressive is they'll get that kind of it's so bad that it's good type of comedy, like a play on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then they'll also throw in like some genuine physical comedy.
Yeah, we were talking about this during the movie. There's like what you talk about. It's like good comedy, perfect timing, fantastic, good physical comedy. But they also do things that are like a take on
That's a bad
things
actor.
from movies.
Yes.
That's a good point. Bam.
It's like they make jokes out of how bad these type of movies that they're parodying are, or a scene that like the dance scene that like it lasts too long.
The rock dance.
Yeah. Stop it. But that's the joke in itself. It's like it's either perfect. It's either the perfect joke, or it's a joke about how bad something is. Which is like it's like a joke about a bad joke, which is like it seems like the end of the spectrum of jokes. If that makes sense.
It's getting pretty meta,
Very
Chad.
meta. Very meta.
Yeah. Well, it's been a long day.
Well, I mean, we definitely haven't had a movie try to pull this sort of thing off for a while, and it is very
Who tried to
unique.
pull this off before?
It's not very common to try to pull off like kind of a retro, like bad old movie sort of situation, and it was a really clever idea, and I think they pulled it off like 100%.
Oh no, I mean I definitely love this movie. I love this movie since the first time that I saw it, like so long ago.
I think we're 17.
Yeah.
This is when I worked at Hollywood Video.
Yeah, that sounds about right. That long ago, but if you want terms of comparison, like I would say that Grindhouse is kind of in that same neighborhood,
Trying to be
just
schlocky?
a much larger scale because their last names are Rodriguez and Tarantino, so they have a whole lot more money to play with.
Yeah, that's true.
But that's definitely like in the same kind of a ballpark. And honestly, like I go back and watch this more than I go back and watch Death Proof or Planet Terror.
Yeah, those are good movies. I like them, but this just has more like value to it. It's just a fun factor.
Yeah, no, this is
And that's
just
saying a lot because Death Proof was a car movie, and those are always really fun.
no. Death Proof was definitely a fun movie.
And Planet Terror is a zombie movie, even though they're not really zombies, and people like to get particular about what is and is not a zombie movie. Still shoot them up.
It was zombie enough.
It's zombie like 28 days later.
And I am a zombie purist, and I will say
It's zombie
that's
enough.
zombie enough.
Yeah, and I
It's
liked
fine.
and
How's Walking Dead going,
I
man?
liked Planet Terror, but like I gotta say I liked it a lot more the first time I watched it than I did the second time I watched it.
See, I switched. I used to like Death Proof more, and Planet Terror was like fine. But like the more I watched either one, I liked Planet Terror a lot more.
I still haven't seen Death Proof. I really need to see that goddamn.
Death Proof
I
is a
guess.
good watch.
Yeah, that's
a
what
good watch.
everybody says.
Stuntman Mike is a good Tarantino character.
Yeah.
But anyways, let's dive into this
we're gonna-
homage, parody, satire, whatever you want to call it. Let's just crack it open and get right into it.
One thing for people who kind of may not understand what we mean about making it bad on purpose for comedic effect, think of Tropic Thunder, a movie
Oh, yeah.
that
Yes,
100% just makes fun of Hollywood, but on the opposite end, they make fun of the big budget.
Yeah.
This is to old school B horror movies what Tropic Thunder is to big budget war films.
Yeah. Or like Shaun
war
of the Dead
epics.
was to like
Yeah.
zombie movies. It's a good homage. You have to make a good movie. Like Tropic Thunder's a good Vietnam movie.
Yeah.
This
That is funny. Shaun of the Dead's a good zombie movie. That is funny.
this is a good early 60s black and white
Yeah.
B horror sci-fi film.
Yeah, it's good. I like to think of
That was made in 2001
To me,
and
it's
released
like
in 2004, something like that.
I like
don't
to think
know.
of it's like if Ed Wood was like self-aware of
Yeah,
himself.
that's what I would say.
yeah.
It's the
It's
closest
a-
analogy.
yeah.
is
It's a
Ed Wood.
movie that wants to be as bad as Plan 9, but wants to be that bad on purpose.
Yeah.
Oh, it's definitely that bad.
And it
Oh, it's
succeeds.
pretty bad.
I think it succeeds, and I think it gets me right away with that opening credit sequence. You hear that cheesy kind of like horror escalating like music with the spinning skull going in the
So
background,
many spinning skull graphics. I kept wondering when Scoob and the gang were going to pop in.
and it starts with its like just cliches just thrown at the wall
Yeah.
throughout the entire thing, and
Seeing what
and
sticks.
it starts with one with that drive up through the dirt road.
Oh, the one that's always in like Manos and like those bad drive up in the middle of the nowhere movies.
And then random farmer with a
Just
what do
standing
you have,
on
a
the side of the
pitchfork
road
or a hoe or
with
something?
No, it was a hoe.
Yeah.
With a hoe. It was a farmer and his hoe.
Yeah. Yeah.
Are you speaking
God,
of
God damn it,
Manos?
every time.
Hands of Fate?
Yeah. What else, Manos? Do you know another Manos?
Is it what Manos Hands?
You know,
of
the
Fate?
first shot in Manos is like pulling up in a car and just a whole bunch of nothing for a while.
I did. I love the fact
But-
that this movie does immediately like reference Manos.
Oh, the
Hands
first
of
5
Fate.
minutes.
Well,
of
it
pure
does.
Manos.
It does that kind of bit, and they have that like stupid, witty couples banter about science, because they have to establish their reason for being
Yeah,
there.
he's a scientist.
and it's because a meteor crashed here recently, and I've got to retrieve it for matters of science.
For my science.
It's lousy with atmospherium.
lousy with
Lousy with that.
lousy with atmospherium.
Atmospherium all over the place. If you can find that atmospherium in that meteor, could really advance the ways of science.
There
You
could
know-
mean actual advancements in the field of science.
It
Because he's a scientist.
Because
It's
he's a scientist and she's a
it's
The
kind of
scientist's wife. Hardest job in the world, y'all.
Best job in the world.
it's kind of funny that it sounds less stupid than unobtainium, because there's nothing that could sound
Oh,
stupid
from Avatar.
unobtainium.
Yeah, unobtainium.
Yeah, somehow they have a better name for their
Yeah, why
random miracle
Why
element.
didn't James Cameron just call it MacGuffinism?
You know, one thing I was just thinking about, talking about intentionally making it look low budget, which they made it
It
low
does.
budget anyway,
did
but
a lot of work to do
a
that.
cast
like
of
100
8.
people worked on it.
A cast of 8. There are exactly 10 costumes in the film.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sounds
Yeah.
about right.
Yeah.
They never changed.
Are you counting the
costumes
skeleton?
entire movie.
No, I'm
As a
not counting
costume?
the skeleton.
You should. It's a large presence.
But so I mean, if
Even in the credits, it says introducing the skeleton.
Oh,
Yeah.
and it's shot in Skeletorama.
yeah, you know, it's amazing. It's amazing that didn't take off as a technology.
No, it's. I thought probably in Lost Skeleton Returns again. They brought it back, but it seems more nichey at that point.
Yeah, a little artsy.
Yeah.
They'll bring back in 3D skeleton.
Like they're filming it ironically in Skeletorama.
But yeah, you watch the movie. The movie takes place over what,
I don't know, an hour,
2.5 days?
maybe.
Because they
Ish.
2.5 days, something like that.
Because they have to do whatever they have to do to actually get to the cabin they're staying at.
Right.
So that he can go look for the meteor that has the atmosphere.
But then that night, that's when
Yeah,
They
two-
see them-
Crowbar and Lattice show up.
Well, that's when the first mutilation happens.
So it's
with
only
the farmer.
it's only 2 days.
Yeah.
just about
The whole movie
yeah.
is 2 days.
Just about,
a
yeah.
sweet tight 48 hours.
Yeah, but
like
you know, Paul.
It's a pretty decently contained story
just in
too.
time for
Yeah.
everyone to go.
Yeah, the
missing.
scientist, his wife.
But
evil scientist, farmer, Ranger Brad, who I love.
Oh, man.
man,
I still we joked about it last night. I want to see that Ranger Brad prequel series.
Yeah, we were like, oh, it's a Ranger Brad movie, and then he gets mutilated.
He
and
just
then
he just
Ryan's like,
goes
"I guess it's a
to he goes from small town to small town solving paranormal mysteries.
really, but it's because he's an incompetent forest ranger, but he's so nice that they don't want to fire him, so they move him. They're like, Brad, so we're getting you a new assignment. You're gonna be going to
Oh,
Chula
well, that
Vista
sounds
now.
just fine by me then.
Yeah,
I'm Ranger Brad.
Like, great guy. Doesn't know dick about forest rangery.
I must be crazy walking around in the woods alone at night.
Like this.
Oh, but so they're on the way to the cabin, and that's where they see random farmer guy
Farmer guy
who
and Ranger
serves no
Brad,
purpose other than to be the first person to be mutilated.
Right? Yeah,
Horribly.
And they talk about the legend of the cave of Cadavra.
Well, they
Cadavra cave,
just
if you will.
well they ask him for directions on how to get to their cabin, and that's then they're on their way, and he's just there. But then we cut to our first antagonist, who is Dr. Roger Fleming, and he runs into Ranger Brad.
Ranger Brad.
Ranger Brad.
Ranger Brad, I like that. It's like, I'm glad you like my title and name. But anyway, so he asks for directions to Cadavra Cave, and say, you don't believe in those old legends about the Lost Skeleton of Cadavra, do you?
I'm a scientist, Ranger Brad. I don't believe in anything.
And they have themselves a good laugh. This movie has lots of people enjoying a good laugh.
Good chuckle every now and then. Good old yarn. That is fun.
Yeah.
All right. See, this is exactly like that. That's what just happened. Could have been in the movie if it wasn't about atmospherium and skeletons, but instead about a podcast. That horrible, awkward silence we just had with like confused laughter. That's the movie.
usually-
I'm
I
pretty,
know-
I'm
I
pretty
could've
sure
found
there
out,
were
but
at
yeah.
least 4 scenes of confused, awkward, and apathetic laughter where
I don't know,
everybody
man.
was just.
Apathy seems like a very complex emotion for a movie like this.
I don't even.
I'm
I don't even
not
know
sure
what
that
to
it has
call
that
it.
Just say
much
sad.
nuance.
No, just it was empty. It was emotionally empty. What do you call that? What do you call emotional emptiness?
Shallow? Hollow?
No. There's got to be like
Emotionally empty?
The Smashing Pumpkins.
There we go. There was plenty of smashing pumpkins going on in this movie.
The world is no, can't do it. We'll get sued. We will get sued.
The world
wish I was
is
wearing your
a
hat.
lost skeleton.
The world is a lost skeleton, and this Dr. Roger Fleming is definitely on his way to find that lost skeleton.
So the couple get to the cabin, the scientist and the scientist's wife.
They have more bantering.
They have more bantering. That is
much
just that
banter.
typical
About-
50s
and
married
yeah,
couple banter.
and but he's definitely the husband who works as a scientist, and
And
she's
she's
definitely
definitely the wife.
the
Scientist's
housewife.
I've also seen this movie twice in as many days and have already forgotten her name.
Betty.
Betsy.
Betty Armstrong.
Betty Armstrong.
Yeah, there we go.
You're looking at the computer, aren't you?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure she didn't have a name.
Yeah, just
Pretty sure it's
Betty.
Betty
Armstrong.
Armstrong.
her first name is Mrs.
And,
He's
doc-
making-
and
her
Dr.
middle name
Paul
is
Armstrong.
Doctor.
Last name is wife.
But so they have more bantering about vaguely scientific sounding things.
And then they
Just
see that-
1 teaspoon of that atmospherium would be enough to power us to go to the moon and back 6 times.
6 whole times.
Moon teaspoons? I'm afraid I just don't understand this kind of talk. I just don't want to come back and forth from the kitchen 6 times till breakfast ready.
Oh, Betty.
You know, it's a whole lot
It's
of that.
that for the whole
It,
movie.
what,
pretty
wasn't the
sad.
line like
pretty
the
sad.
moon is at least 1,000 miles away?
No, they said these space aliens came at least 1,000 miles away.
That's
yeah,
right.
they came
Yeah.
1,000 miles.
Well, they're not wrong.
I mean, that's as far as the Proclaimers walked.
And they would also go
Da-da-da-da.
500 more.
So about this time.
You're welcome for that, guys.
So about this. So it was.
I will
It
not say
was
thank you.
about that time that the rocket lands to Earth,
Yeah,
and
the scientist
that's a
wife-
fantastic sequence of somebody just placing a tin can on the ground.
Yeah.
With the visible lines.
And everyone watching it thinks it's another meteor, right?
Yeah, it just looks
even
like
though
another
there's already
meteor.
a meteor that landed.
That's
I
lousy with
wonder.
atmospherium.
I too also wonder.
I too wonder.
Oh, this is great. This is when the movie really tells you like what's happening. So the scientist and the scientist's wife are looking at the window of their cabin, watching what they think is another meteor crashing. Turns out it's aliens landing, even though there's already been meteor landing. So
Enter Crowbar and Lattice.
Crowbar and Lattice.
My
But,
favorite characters.
Like the scientist and the scientist's wife are just saying maybe it's another meteor with atmosphere or something along those lines. They're like, I wonder. And then it cuts to our antagonist.
Roger Fleming.
Talks to Dr. Fleming around a campfire, sitting there.
a campfire.
A campfire. I've been drinking hot toddies since like 5. Leave me alone.
So he's sitting around the campfire.
You
Yeah.
sound like a grandma when you say that. Say
Yeah.
it again.
Hot toddy.
Boy, I've been drinking my hot
I've been
daddies.
drinking
Don't
hot
you tell me
toddies
what
since
I'm
5
gonna say, woman.
That's the thing about hot
This
toddies.
this has just gone off the rails so
Yep.
fast. Well, so he's sitting around a campfire and he's drinking his I guess it's coffee
Let's
out of
call it a
his,
hot toddy for a second.
drinking his hot toddy.
Just for continuity in the podcast.
He's like,
Everybody's drinking the hot toddies.
I also wonder.
So the movie has his dialogue continue off the previous scene dialogue, even though they do not know each other.
Yeah, it's like, yep, okay, that's what we're doing.
That's the movie we're watching.
That's what
It's
we're
that
doing.
Movie.
You know, I was wondering because of all the science talk.
Science.
You're gonna have to slow down. You're gonna give me nothing but a headache. Now, why don't you start over and tell me what happened?
But at this point, we get some amazing foreshadowing, right? Crowbar and Lattice.
Once again, the use of the word amazing. I don't.
They land.
And foreshadowing.
They've got their like $43 rocket ship there that they're in front of.
How much do you think that rocket ship cost on Marva, the planet where they're from, as opposed to here on Earth, a planet they are not from, which is Marva?
well, probably
I see your point. The two are different.
maybe like
Earth,
$12 because
Okay.
they gave up messes years ago, so they don't have to pay anyone to clean up the mess when they build.
If only we could be advanced.
But
as Marva.
anyways, so they walk out of their ship for the first time.
Yeah. So, and here's where you really get a sense of where this is going creatively. The mutant escaped from its mutant cage with the mutant padlock, which was secured, but the special mutant bars may have bent when they crashed, even though it didn't look like a crash.
Oh yeah, it looked like it just landed. But
Really sets up the rest of the movie.
that's here nor there. But yes. Anyways, so the mutant is loose, and Crowbar and Lattice now have to figure out how to repair their ship and also get the mutant back. So that's why they get out their transmutatron
Yeah, because the mutant is lousy with
atmospherium.
atmosphere. Everyone's looking for this atmospherium, which is a
Yeah,
killer band name.
nobody thinks that maybe we should just kill the mutant and like sap the mutant's blood for atmospherium. Like maybe they should just do that.
Well, but they didn't have a shooty gun. They had a transmutic gun.
That's true. And Dr. Paul Armstrong is no mutant hunter. He needs to leave that to the professionals,
who are aliens.
to the experts. But so the mutant's loose. They need to go find the mutant, but they also need to get the atmospherium to repair their ship. And it's about this time that our first antagonist is about to meet our primary antagonist.
Yeah, he also sees the spaceship crash land, so he like follows the aliens, I think, for a while.
No,
Nope.
he's looking for the skeleton.
Yeah, he was
Oh.
totally unconcerned.
Oh, the
Well, the
skeleton.
whole
That's why he's looking for the
thing
lost skeleton.
is the skeleton. Because the whole thing is the skeleton.
The whole
The Lost
thing
Skeleton
is the
of Cadavra.
skeleton.
And he doesn't even show up until the last third of the movie, and he's a
We'll get to it. But right now,
it's a terrible
right
monster.
now, Dr. Roger Fleming is on the hunt for the skeleton, and he gets
finds
to the cave
The lost,
Right, which he got the directions to the cave
from
from
Ranger
Ranger Brad.
Brad.
fan favorite Ranger Brad.
the real hero of this
And
movie.
they had themselves a good
Obviously.
laugh. You remember we talked about it.
Hashtag Ranger Brad.
And now he's found the cave. He's gone to the cave and he's found the skeleton. It was really easy for him to find the skeleton. He's got it.
It's like 20 feet into the cave.
Yeah, like he seriously looks like he just walked inside the cave and there the skeleton was underneath the blanket. So
I think
he
it was
pulls
more of a
open.
tarp.
He pulls off the tarp. He pulls off the tarp and he starts trying to talk to the skeleton. And it's clearly just as we mentioned.
Biology class, $12 skeleton.
Oh, yeah. And
Like, not even a good biology class.
No, it's like they bought it at a flea market. You could see the thing holding up the front part of the rib cage from the back part of the rib cage.
Which
for
you
that
focus
whole
on
sequence.
that more than anything else in the
Well, I mean,
entire
it's
movie.
just like it's the first thing that you know the skeleton looks cheap.
Oh, yeah, it's
It's
bad.
the first thing.
It's a bad prop.
The thing is, everything about the skeleton is stupid and horrible.
Which is what's great
but I
about
love,
it.
I love
Exactly.
every line from the skeleton because he doesn't talk to him at first, and he immediately goes to, "Oh, and I knew the skeleton was gonna hate me. Skeletons have always been against me." Like,
Since I was a child.
Dude,
What?
What?
what does that mean?
What is that? Is that? Do we have a weird backstory of him and skeletons?
I want to know the backstory about him and the skeletons.
You say that, but do you really want to know? Or do you-
It's more like it's more like just a
blurb?
a train wreck that I just need to look at for a
that's
minute.
fair.
I wouldn't watch the movie. I'd read the Wikipedia synopsis.
Yeah,
so.
I would read the Wikipedia synopsis and just be like, "What?"
I feel like it could be boiled down to a tweet.
That would be
More convenient.
one hell of a tweet.
I agree.
Skeletons
So,
hate
if you
me.
know this
Everybody knows skeletons have always been against me. Everybody's saying it.
So, everyone listening, if you want to hit us up on Twitter and figure out what it is, just hit us up with your fantastic tweet of why Dr. Fleming has always been attacked by skeletons his whole life.
I don't think they necessarily attacked him
Hashtag skeleton hate.
as much as just like spoke to him in a derogatory fashion.
And he's got his My First Science kit.
Which you'll see again later.
I love that he's a scientist, so he just has like a microscope
And like
some
and you
test
can
tubes.
you can see the kids on the box playing with science equipment.
That's the joke. That's a good joke.
And that's what he's using to study the skeleton. And he's just had his skeleton breakdown, and that's when the skeleton speaks.
Oh, it's you.
Oh, it's you.
The skeleton's dick, man.
Oh, he's
Yeah.
just
He's the worst.
He's just a dick to
He's
be
the
a dick.
worst. He's the
Well,
worst.
to Roger,
What does he want?
he's all right with
What's he
everybody
trying
else.
to do?
I mean,
He's not. He manipulates everyone. Everyone he manipulates for his own betterment. But with
Yeah.
Roger, he hates.
yeah,
Yeah, he actively hates
every other
Roger.
conversation,
Really
and
hates Roger.
this is what's wonderful about the dialogue is just he's so direct and like commanding and angry, but he begins everything with "Hi, Betty," or "Hi, Pammy."
Skeleton, you're alive. Shows how stupid you are. Only my skeleton brain is living. Which just makes me want to say, what is a skeleton brain?
It's like a really bony brain, dude.
Is it just
That's a bony brain.
is it
Bony
the
brain.
brain of the person who the skeleton was? And who was the skeleton before it was a skeleton? Was it always a skeleton? I'm asking too many questions for this movie.
No, it is. It is because it's solidified. What do you call that? It's calcified fury.
Hey, that's
You're trying way too hard.
calcified.
No,
Hey,
the
calcified
skeleton-
is their word.
The skeleton.
I mean, I've always appreciated.
But the skeleton, after some witty skeleton banter and some over the top voice acting from I don't know who.
It's Larry Blamere. He did the voice of the skeleton.
Oh, is
the
it?
actor and the star, and I assume writer.
Because
Just did the voice, too.
at the end it just says introducing the skeleton, and I'm just like, I want to know who voices
Yeah,
him.
it was Larry.
Oh, that's
it was
great.
Larry, and it was either his son or his nephew, some relative, doing
Doing the boom.
Doing
Yeah.
the boom. The
Yeah.
boom. He was also and him and the PA did the fish wire for the skeleton.
Oh man, yeah, there was like 100 and something people that
I
worked
wish I
on
made
this.
a movie like that. That sounds like
crazy.
a lot of fun.
There was way too few people involved in this movie for it to be as hilariously awesome as it was. When I was looking
they
at
pulled
the
it off.
credits, yeah, when I was looking at the credits, like seriously,
Yeah, there's
everybody,
like 32 names.
Yeah, I'm just gonna cut through like the hilarious shit right now and just say like y'all that put your effort into making this movie, really you put way too much into this, and it's hilarious and I love it. And goddamn. Like, it was amazing.
Not enough people know about it.
Not enough people know about it.
It's been
and
around
more
a while,
people should.
too.
It has.
Everybody should go watch this movie, especially if you love stupid old movies.
I mean,
especially
yeah,
if you love that.
you can find it.
God damn.
You can find it. But so the skeleton. The skeleton is he's
He's a dick.
He's shouting at Roger.
He's the
And he lets Roger know, he's like, okay, well, if you just bring me some atmospherium, then that will restore these bones to life, and I will retain the glory that I once was.
Which we don't know what that was.
Yeah, we don't.
Or if it is,
We're still waiting
yeah.
on the tweet for us to find out what that was.
If Lost Skeleton doesn't have a Twitter handle, he needs one.
How does he not have a? Are you telling me there's no hashtag?
Twitter was made for the Lost Skeleton of Cadavra.
Hashtag I sleep now.
Hashtag I sleep now.
And that's how that scene ends. I sleep now, and now then there it is.
That's how like every scene with him ends.
Scene's over. And so he goes off to find some atmospherium. The aliens are looking for atmospherium. They all stumble upon
the scientist and his wife
the Armstrongs, Dr. Paul and Betty Armstrong.
looking for atmospherium because they know where a meteor landed because he's a scientist.
Well, they got the meteor already.
Yeah, because
by
this
they
point.
went out looking for it. They decided to do it together because they needed to spend more time together as a couple.
That's right. So there's that thing where the aliens
It's very
are like-
heartwarming.
The aliens
Take
are like,
you out on the boat, but we don't have a boat. And somehow he's charming for that.
yeah. But isn't it the thing of like the aliens are out looking for more? They're either looking for the mutant or I think they're looking for the mutant.
Well, they're looking for the mutant because they're worried about horrible mutilations,
But
which
they also-
we'll get to. But they're out
they
of
also
atmospherium for their ship.
That's
well,
what
the
they're.
mutant
Yeah.
has atmospherium,
Well, the mutant.
but they don't know that they're going to come across a scientist and a scientist's wife with a meteor that's lousy with atmospherium.
Yeah, well, like you know, I brought it up earlier. Why don't they just kill the mutant and just take the atmospherium out of the mutant?
Well,
How
because
dare you.
that's their pet.
More of a pet, really.
Would you kill your dog for the gasoline in it, Jim?
My dog doesn't have gasoline
that
in
you
it.
know of, but you're not a scientist nor an alien.
But so they're looking for some.
skeleton.
But so
What
they're
do you
looking
know?
for atmospherium.
Yeah, but that's when the-
no, they need atmospherium. They're
Yeah.
looking for the mutant.
Yeah, but that's that scene where they hear something, so they like hide, and that's when the Armstrongs come by, and it's that thing of like he's already found the meteor, it's in the box, and Dr. Paul Armstrong was just like, Betty, there's enough atmospherium in this medium to power 6 trips to the moon and back. Betty goes, I know. And then they keep walking.
Yes, and Lattice is hiding behind the tree.
So that you
In
know
a
she's hiding.
very-
So they
Very
overhear.
horribly shot scene.
Oh, it looks so bad. It's perfect.
It's shot so intentionally bad, and it's so good.
But you guys are forgetting one essential thing is the movie has to continue. So plot device.
The show must go on.
Exactly.
Pretty
And-
much everything's a plot device in this
Yeah.
in this movie.
In which I think is hilariously perfect in the kind of movie it's supposed to be. It's just a series of plot devices followed by other plot devices. And
Did we skip over the first horrible mutilation?
No.
I mean,
That comes during the dinner party.
No, that's the second horrible mutilation.
Oh, well, the Ranger Brad tells him about it during the dinner party.
Yeah, but that means we skipped the first horrible mutilation.
Oh, yeah, because
the
it was
farmer.
just
it was such a short scene.
How
Yeah.
about we just do?
You're not bossy.
How about
You're
we just
not
do
bossy.
the horrible mutilation hour?
Yeah. So anyway, long story short,
Too late.
like after the spaceship lands, you're like, oh shit, we're on Earth. That sucks. Oh no, the mutant's gone. And then it cuts to the farmer that
Gave the directions earlier.
gave the directions earlier. And he's like, well, what's that sound off in the woods there, I reckon?
You know, like
That
farmers.
must be my cow, Bossy.
That's not bossy.
That's not Bossy at all.
Settle down, bossy.
Oh no! But you haven't seen the mutant at this point.
Yeah, it's just
But you know something bad just happened to the farmer.
Yeah, like so it's shot in a way that's just you see the farmer and there's cutaway shots too, random woods trees shots.
Woods trees.
Woods trees shots.
It's the
Yeah,
woods
the woods
trees.
trees.
The woods trees. And you're supposed to like.
You sound like the guitar players from Metalocalypse. It's the woods trees.
It's some of this plus woods trees. I played this woods trees.
There's maids with the woods.
The woods is trees. The woods is trees.
That's really blowing my mind.
That brings us to.
You mean
So-
we have
so
to
that-
kill something to make our guitars?
So that.
Wait.
so
So you
that-
saying that we named the album woods trees because that's so dumb. We should name the album
Oh
woods trees.
god! Now
I
Pickles is
don't
here.
like to name woods trees. Okay, yeah.
Now Pickles is here.
Yeah, we're just doing everything. Okay.
So that brings us to Crowbar and Lattice, like coming upon the cabin, and they've got to leave the gun behind because it looks, like a
Like a
The
cocking
trans-
gun?
like a cocking gun that's been spray painted.
Which it is.
But they
It's like
use
the
it
coffee
because
gun
it's
with like
actually
a coffee filter on it.
but it's actually like a transmutatron. I forget what they
Yeah,
call it.
Transmutatron from the mutant from us from our planet
Transmutatron.
Marva.
And they use it on themselves, and somehow it just transforms their clothes. I don't know.
Which is the first of 2 costume changes in the entire movie. The second costume change is also them.
You're really hung up on the costume change.
I just noticed
You
things.
really well. That does bring up a good point, which is it's been over the course of 2 days, and besides the aliens transmutating themselves or whatever, everyone wears the same clothes for like 3 days.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it's like The Simpsons. No one changes clothes.
No one changes clothes.
Yeah, maybe Homer puts on a tie when he goes to work. That's it.
And the scientist always wears parachute pants.
Yep.
But so now he's wearing a suit and tie.
They call them science pants.
He comments on the tie being a useless piece of clothing and not really knowing why he has to wear it. He refers to it as a neck restraint. The body funnel.
Inverted cloth funnel.
Inverted cloth funnel. It's very pretty and it's comfortable and nice, and she likes it.
Feels nice.
So they walk up to. They know the scientists have the atmospherium, and they go up to their cabin.
But they have to get to the cabin.
And
So they get
encounter-
there. Stairs.
which they don't have on Marva, the planet, which is not Earth, which is where we are right now. But we're from Marva.
I'm sure.
now.
I'm sure they gave up stairs eons ago.
They also gave up manual doors, as we'll find out. Because they first
now-
you get a great sequence with the walking up the stairs.
That is what I was talking about earlier with the comedy gold. Perfect timing on every front. It's
There's
just
small buildings,
generally funny.
flat on the top. I think if we step on them one at a time, we will eventually be high enough to reach the entrance.
Oh god, it's just the worst way to step upstairs for 2 people.
And we just shouldn't even describe it because
No, go watch the movie.
you have to watch
you
it
have to watch the movie.
get
It's
it.
too
But
funny.
props to the actors, Andrew Parks and Susan McConnell, for
Parks is so good in this. And
for
McConnell
just
owns
selling it. They sell that walk up the stairs
Oh, my
so
God.
hard.
Well, walk is a generous word, but yeah. It's more like an endeavor up the
The endeavor up the stairs.
6 stairs.
It sounds like an M. Night Shyamalan movie from 2009.
Oh,
Endeavor up the stairs.
old M. Night Shaquille O'Neal.
M. Night Shyamalan ding dong. But so they get to the door. They don't know they don't know how to proceed with being at the door, so they just speak loudly about their confusion in regards to being at the door.
Because it didn't open automatically.
Yeah, because
So
that's
they just kind of talk outside for a while.
because knocking. What's that?
Yeah, they just talk
They
outside.
gave that up eons ago.
Eons ago.
So they just kind of talk outside for a while, and the Armstrongs inside are like, I think there's people outside.
So they
maybe.
eventually just open the door.
After a minute, though. Yeah.
And like it's so fun to go back and watch like that interaction now, because like watching it whenever I was younger, it was just silly, just everything that was happening.
Yeah, it's just a silly
watching it
movie.
now, it's like if somebody was at your door doing that and you opened the door and that was the exchange you had with them, like
You call the police.
yeah, you'd be like you're being borderline hostile. Like-
And not to mention the fact that the Armstrongs were inside the door listening to them outside the door.
Dude, for like a minute.
Yeah, for a hot minute.
But so they get past that and they end up coming inside, and whenever they're invited in, they're just like, oh yes, we've been dying to do that.
Yeah, they get a little like Crowbar gets a little antsy and sarcastic with Betty.
But we definitely definitely a little bit.
Quite rude.
Yeah,
He doesn't realize it.
He doesn't know what manners are. They gave those up eons ago. We should have given this joke up eons ago. But anyway,
Oh,
so
Shut
there
up,
we
Sam.
so there,
There we are.
So-
Good night, everybody.
so their fake first names are like, what are they? Bamman,
Crowbar is Bammon. You know Bammon.
Bamman,
The Earth
And
name
wait,
Bammon.
Turgasso?
Turgasso.
Turgasso.
Her
Yeah.
name is
That's it,
Turgasso.
Turgasso.
Turgasso and Bamham.
And
Bamman Taylor.
that's a bit of a gag that they kind of bring back.
So the Armstrongs confused them for the Taylors, the people that own the cabin, because they thought they might stop by.
So it's Turgasso and Bam Taylor.
And they go, and then we have just a comedy of errors of an alien couple and a scientist couple.
Yes,
trying to get along.
I would like liquid. No, somebody gets right to the point.
And he gets, I'm going to get 4 scotch and sodas. And you made the point that, or watching it, that
Yep.
is literally just scotch and soda.
That's literally
ice.
what they got.
No lime.
There is scotch and there is soda.
not a damn thing.
And, Crowbar and Lattice playing the roles of Bam and
Tagasso, the Earth
Tagasso.
couple.
Yes, that's their Earth names.
So basically, it's just like a normal couple and an alien couple, and what you expect would happen happens.
Well,
a lot.
Well, the first thing that happens that I really like is they cheers and they're watching the Armstrongs to see what they do so they can mimic what they do, and they start to sip, and Batman I guess doesn't quite get to how to sip and drink from a glass, but Lattice definitely does.
Turgasso at this point.
And
Yeah,
she
just for the movie.
and she like chugs the majority of her scotch and soda,
Oh yeah,
just downs it.
just downs it, and later when
And
they're
gets
talking,
Earth drunk.
And yeah, I'm sure they gave up alcohol eons ago, so they
Eons
probably don't know like
what drunk is.
what drunk feels like. So
Yeah.
she gets real drunk real fast.
And also, if you notice later in the movie, she's fine.
Well, I'm sure she sobers up.
Yeah, her metabolism spins faster.
She's an alien
Yeah, exactly.
from outer
From outer
space.
space. My favorite thing that tells you this whole interaction is going to go wrong is when they walk into the living room and they go, "Well, sit down, we'll talk." And the Armstrongs sit down, and in an effort to mimic what the Armstrongs do, the alien couple
Fold in the middle.
they fold in the middle, and they just fold, just 2-part fold real fast, where they bend at the waist and they bend their knees and just kind of fall.
Oh, but later on in their ship, they're sitting down and enjoying space wine.
Well, it's
Yeah,
because
but
they've
we-
learned how to sit like the humans do.
Well,
as
and we
opposed to
didn't
Marva.
see them bend in the middle in the spaceship.
Maybe the spaceship bent for them. We just didn't see it.
That's
Ooh,
it's getting out there.
out there. Unlike Marva, which is right here. No, wait, that's Earth. I'm confused. Earth as opposed to Marva. Earth, Marva. Earth.
And it was about that time that there was a knock on the door.
Yep.
But before that knock on the door, what we see is
I like how
Dr.
you started
Roger
thinking and
Fleming.
then realized that you forgot something, so you turned yourself around.
Of course, I didn't do that. This was all intentional. So
Great narrative.
So
Great
Dr.
narrative.
Roger Fleming.
It would look
finds-
strange if I showed up without a date.
He finds the transmutilator and
No,
somehow
Transmutatron. The mutilation is
and-
what
and-
happened from the mutant.
and finds out how to use the transmutilator.
But just point and hit it. Right.
And
It's pretty much just squeeze the thing and it does whatever you've got imagined in your head.
pretty much, I mean, as far as I can tell, those are the rules. And so this creates Animala,
Yes.
which is just a pretty girl in a onesie with some claws on.
Yeah. He's like the
Which
transmutilate.
again, like totally unnecessary character other than like Aaron was saying, everything's
Plot
a plot
device.
device. Everything's a plot device because he's like, it sure would look weird if I showed up by myself.
Oh, he says like, oh,
Which,
this
I-
4 woodland critters.
I'll render
That gives
myself
me
a
an
date.
idea.
Yeah, and why would it be weird to show up by yourself at a cabin in the woods in the middle of nowhere as opposed to with your wife?
Well, that's how I feel about so much of this movie. Like Animal is obviously it's just what more can I do? And it's like, well, I can add some claws on the end of this black cat skin tight cat suit. And I'm sorry. And just so many things about this fucking movie. It's just like, what more can we add to it? What more can we fit into the budget?
And they incorporate like a sci-fi trope in the process.
Do we have enough of the budget for a turtleneck?
Animala clearly it was just like, okay, well, we're just gonna pretend like, and we have like 50 seconds that we can have with this fucking deer, and then we're gonna just like shoot that. And so they try to assimilate that into the movie to make it something that really had no real part in the plot at all. But the plot doesn't matter. Obviously, this plot doesn't matter to this movie.
But for the trilogy of errors or whatever you want to call it that's going to unfold here in a second to happen, she has to be created.
Well.
It becomes the best character, though.
So it's just a really super weak backstory for a character whose only reason to be in the movie is as a plot device. Because what did Animala do? Get the atmospherium to Roger Fleming and the aliens.
But
that's all she did.
But you guys aren't wrong. But the thing is that the majority, like every character in this movie, is in a way a plot device, except for like the scientist and the wife, and then the other scientist.
Yeah, that's right. That's why it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter the fact that she's a plot device. Doesn't change anything. Every character in this fucking movie is a plot device.
But what happens is she is created, and he spends just like a quick like Rocky montage sequence. Not really, but he teaches her.
There's no training.
He teaches her how to do stuff.
Yeah.
Well, he teaches her how to sit down and drink water.
Right, which is enough to get through a dinner.
Time for.
Look, I'm not saying that it was part of his furry fan fiction, but it's part of his furry fan fiction. So,
and that is also, I mean, just fun fact. She's played by the director's wife,
Jennifer Blair, right?
Jennifer Blair.
She owns it.
And
it's
if
my favorite character.
She's great.
Solid.
No, she's great at playing part woman, part four woodland critters.
and if that's what they're into, that's fine. That's okay.
It's fine. I knew it was going to be fine.
We knew.
All I'm saying though is that for the early '60s in the year 2001, short hair like that was
cutting edge, man.
Definitely cutting edge. Women didn't do that back then. They also didn't drive cars.
So they go to the cabin. After learning these behaviors, they go to the cabin.
And they're trying to also find the atmospherium. So it's an awkward dinner party with everyone looking for the atmospherium, but without actually looking for the atmospherium.
Yeah, they've all got something to hide, but they're all looking for the atmospherium, except for the scientist and his wife. They're just being themselves.
They're
But so then you have
so confused and awkward.
I know this is the best. It's like the best. The Betty jokes that are bad, and her laugh is perfect.
But you have the opening sequence of all three couples. You've got the Armstrongs. You've got Crowbar and Lattice trying their best to fit in to be humans, and then you have Dr. Roger Fleming and Animala, and
everyone's giving fake names too.
Which they've got their own fake names.
He introduced her as Pammy.
Pammy.
Pammy and like Rudolph, I think.
Rudolph something else.
I don't even know why he gave himself a fake name.
Yeah,
I do have a theory, but it gives everybody too much credit.
Name.
So I'm just going to save you guys all a bunch of time.
But there's some pretty great exchanges going on there as you have the aliens still trying to pass as humans, but then you also have like a person that's actually animals trying to behave like a human.
And one guy trying to find something with two, and then a couple who they're just trying to be good hosts. And this is what you were talking about earlier, where it's that it's like a class in just perfect comedic timing.
It's just there's so many comedic thread lines that are crossing paths at the same time.
It's like watching Clue. The movie Clue.
It's in a lot of ways it is. And then Ranger Brad shows up. That's during the dinner, because first we have to get through the dinner scene. And the dinner scene is so good.
Yeah, and his fan, oh my gosh.
Like Crowbar and Lettuce sit down and they're like, remember, if we just mimic everything that the humans do, then we'll fit right in. But the first person at the table to act is Animala, who is not a human. So when she dies face first into her food.
Or there's that long pause where she looks at it for a while like an animal would, just kind of like, I don't know what this is.
And she sniffs at it.
Sniffs at it, it's fine. And then she just goes face first.
Face first into it. And then Crowbar and Lattice go face first into it, too.
And the table shakes and like beverage is spilt on the table.
And keep in mind that Dr. Roger Fleming knows that Tergasso and Bamman are actually the aliens Crowbar and Lattice because he saw them at one point. So he knows what they're up to. He knows they're aliens. But
he is still fortunate that they were following everything that Animala was doing.
Right. Dr. Fleming is the main person in the know. He knows everything, including the skeleton.
Yeah, he's got all the facts, and he knows obviously that Pammy is really Animala because he created it. So he's just gonna try and play it off. While Paul and Betty are just freaked out by what's going on.
Oblivious.
Yeah, they're the straight men of the equation.
Y'all are reading
which is
so
very
much into this movie.
Yeah.
This movie is some silly shit.
It is. It's so silly, but
this is the silliest shit I've ever seen in my whole fucking life.
But that's a great comedic bit right there.
Yeah, no, it was. No, it is. It's a funny. That's the thing about this fucking movie. It's hilarious. It is 100% hilarious. It knows what it's doing in a comedic manner 1000%, but it's also stupid as shit because it's aware of how stupid it is. And that's what makes it fantastic.
It is very self-aware.
And it knows how to play those moments out. It knows how to play those comedic moments out. And those old moments, those new moments. That knows how to work out the system. And
there are so many of those where it's just like it goes on for a little bit too long, but that's the point. So once we get through the Ranger Brad bit, because Ranger Brad stops by,
he shows up and
pretty much just to drop the exposition on our characters that there's been mutilations in the area.
And it comes out of nowhere. It's like they're all sitting down after dinner, just
there's a knock on the door, and Dr. Paul Armstrong is like, "Let's go see what's at the door. Only the men go. Women stay here."
And Crowbar doesn't understand that he qualifies in that category.
He qualifies as an Earthling human man on this planet Earth, as opposed to Marvel, which is where he's
as an Earthling human man.
Yeah, Earthling human man. Oh yes, we all go as men. Human Earthling man.
And so he shows up just to tell them about the mutilations. Tells them about the mutilations and
almost a way.
Animal is like all over Ranger Brad because of course. A woman,
yeah, you made a big deal about this,
human,
and it was really funny.
Well, because of course the woman human that's made from 4 woodland critters would be all about them a park ranger.
Yeah, it makes sense.
I mean, who doesn't love Ranger Brad though?
Yeah, Ranger Brad.
No, but like she's licking his hand as he's on the way out. He walks out the door. She's clawing at the door. Like I'm pretty sure that was on purpose, and I appreciated it.
Sam, everyone wants Ranger Brad.
Well, I mean, who doesn't? I mean, you saw Ranger Brad,
gorgeous with that.
He's got that beard.
Dan Conroy. Ow.
He's got that.
I believe it's pronounced
scruffy beard. He's got that scruffy beard. He's just Ranger Brad has got. He's got it all, top to bottom.
But unfortunately, this is also where Ranger Brad finds his fate.
Because he leaves.
Because
he gets horribly mutilated.
Well, it's his own fault.
After describing the horrible mutilations that are afoot in the area.
It's his
Nothing
own
to
fault.
worry about.
You know, he was a fool to walk alone in the woods at night.
It's a good thing he doesn't believe in anything.
What was he thinking? And so he gets horribly mutilated.
I would call it... So there's 2 people at this point. I would call it a... There's the farmer earlier. And there's Ranger Brad here. And later... the mutant, when you see the mutant attempts to mutilate Betty but doesn't try, so I would call it
well, he fell in love.
It's a bit of a wave.
Or she. I
mutilation.
mean, it's 2018.
Wave of mutilation.
Well, and you get this nice Pixies riff, but you get this.
Thank you. Someone, fine, whatever.
But you get this sequence where like the skeleton apparently has telekinetic powers and can call on Animala from the cave.
Animala, it is I, the skeleton.
And just man, they run this
meteor.
bit into the
Oh
ground.
yeah, get the meteor. What's the thing? Get the meteor.
Bring the meteor to the skeleton. Bring the atmospherium to Crowbar and Lattice. They run that one
Animala
into
stands
the
up
ground.
and she's like, "What's the thing?" So
And
like,
they're bouncing back and
I
forth.
must get an
between-
Amish terrarium.
I must get an Amish terrarium.
Oh, that was a good bit.
That was a good bit.
Yeah, of course they live. Of course they live in the open air.
Yeah,
It would be
like
cool to
us.
put them behind glass.
Like us.
Like that was a good bit.
a good
But
bit.
just they spend so much time on this mind power thing, and then it turns out Crowbar and Lettuce have mind powers too.
Just for this one scene in the movie.
Marvin mind powers, and it
Yeah.
is never mentioned again. But whatever. That's like it's like of all the things, like that's the problem you have. I get I get it, but I do. But anyways, after this whole bit's done, they end up like the Armstrongs have to walk away for some reason, and that allows Crowbar and Lattice to have a 1-on-1 or a 2-on-1.
Betty's getting conflicting psychopathic messages from both the Lost Skeleton and
Oh, that's right.
Her, the
passed-
housewifey one.
Yeah.
She passes.
Hi, Betty.
She passes out in the bed,
she goes upstairs to grab the meteor and then passes out.
and so that allows that allows the evil scientist to talk with the alien couple,
Yeah, just lay it all out, man.
and they spend way too long to decide that they're going to have a partnership where they work together for
It's
the
5 minutes of
atmospherium.
explaining the definition.
Atmospherium for you, atmospherium for me.
It's 5 minutes explaining the definition of partnership or sharing, like 11 times.
But once we finally get through it,
yeah, after like a while, you go to the bathroom, call your mom, and come back to it. They're still talking about it.
the next important thing that happens is Dr. Armstrong is doing science on the atmospherium. Let's see what happens when I add water to it. Good old H2O, I call it.
H2O, I call it.
And that's when Animala comes up and starts her dance routine. That's exactly what I asked you not to do.
So the skeleton.
And
tells
that's when they
Animala-
start doing the rock dance.
Yeah, the dance. She throws on some like marimba music, and just kind of, and it's that thing again of a joke. It's funny because it goes on too long, and it's
They
off-putting.
just beat it into the ground.
Oh, God.
This is their MacGuffin situation to get the atmospherium to Dr. Fleming.
So Animala dances her way with Dr. Armstrong and the meteor towards.
And honestly, I'm not sure why like the aliens were needed to be there for.
Well, it's the scene takes place in their spaceship, so they can get the atmospherium.
Yeah, I guess.
Yes.
Yeah, because that's where Dr. Fleming rips off the aliens
Is
with
this-
the help of the Lost Skeleton of Cadavra.
Is this your Earth sharing? So must be how sharing works on Earth.
Because
You'll-
this
and
movie
this-
made no goddamn sense.
You'll
from the
find that a
beginning
lot
to
of
the
Earth
end.
sharing is like this.
Which I share.
And you'll
with
find that a lot of
myself.
Earth sharing is like, yeah, and just that was a great line.
That actually is a good line. There's like 2 or 3 good lines, but I don't know if it's because we've been watching the schlock for 2 hours or however long it is, an hour and a half. That when there's a good line, what's good for the movie.
It does a lot in an hour and a half, and
Yeah. Oh,
by the
so
time
much.
that it ends, it's like, yeah, that's enough of that.
I'm ready to leave now.
But
So anyway, the meteor is brought to the spaceship.
and they're now bound by the skeleton's
Yeah.
mind powers.
Dr. Fleming pulls the old switcheroo, the old
the
double
old
cross
switcheroo.
on the aliens who are bound by the skeleton's mind powers to be bound by mental ropes, not real ones.
The ropes aren't real.
Simultaneously, Betty's going to look for her husband and goes out into the woods and discovers the mutant.
And that's when the mutant gets Betty.
Yeah,
And you get that scream
I
shot.
like to think that Betty gets mutant.
You get this. You gotta have the scream
Yeah,
shot.
and it turns into just the typical King Kong pretty girl.
And the mutant
Monster
who's got a
thing.
soft heart for it.
Yeah, and leaves her alone and doesn't mutilate her.
Yeah.
Which is nice of it.
That's awfully nice.
Maybe
of him.
he's turning over a new leaf.
This is also when we first see the mutant for the first time. Like we've only seen
And
like
it's definitely a corn on the cob costume
yeah with
The
a
mutant-
with a
With the-
turtle
with
with 3
the-
eyes and
with the weird head on it.
I feel like the mutant should have been in the movie a little more to to solidify its purpose.
Oh no,
Well, they
but
only had-
in
they
these
only
kinds
had,
of
like, a-
movies, they don't show the monster till the end.
I know, but like,
See, I feel like they only had like a day rental. on
yeah,
the costume.
that's probably what
So
happened.
that's why they didn't show it the rest of the time.
Like they literally they just had enough time to put like to glue the third eye in the left side of it, and they were like, just fucking shoot it. Just
Well, they
shoot
did-
it.
well, they
Just-
did-
just-
there's
That's
just-
why they use that close-up
There's
shot.
that
of the
one
mutant.
shot, yeah, where he's doing the jazz
They
hands.
reuse it 5
and
times.
that's all they have.
The spirit
that's
fingers.
probably what happened. Yeah, they just
Well,
they
that and
only have
the
it.
epic
They
fight
only have
scene.
that guy for like
Oh, the
one
epic
day.
fight
the
scene.
fight scene.
with the skeleton.
But how?
Because once
gosh, I feel bad for the guy
Dr.
that
Fleming
played
and
that.
Animala get the meteor to the skeleton,
He rises.
they lodge it in his like chest cavity or something like that.
Sure.
And yeah, why not?
Yeah, whatever.
And that's how science works.
And that brings the skeleton to life.
Well, he sits up. And then walks, air quotes. It's a podcast, you can't tell.
It's
But
air
walks,
quotes.
It's air quotes. And by walks, I mean there's obviously a guy underneath him.
Just bobbing him up
bobbing
and down, as he goes through
as he
the
goes
forest.
by, and there's shots of
Oh,
all
look at
three
him
of them.
go! What a skeleton!
And then they climb down the mountain. This is the best shot in the movie.
No, okay.
Do
I'm not
exactly
talking
as I
about-
do.
based on the
Let's
fact
get to the mountain
It was
climb.
an actual skeleton actually walking. It's not like, we're pretending this sort of thing happened.
Let's just do exactly as I do. Climb down the rocks like this.
So it's
And you can see the fishing wire that's being used.
on the biochem
You can see the
101
glare
skeleton.
from the screws and all the joints.
Yeah, you can see the screws. I feel like what they did was like there was an incline of rocks of like, let's say like a 45-degree angle, and they did it with the skeleton going upward and then reverse that shot in post because it looks like the way his thing moves is kind of weird
You
because he
think-
does move
You think they put that much into production?
to flip a shot. Yeah, it's real easy to flip a shot.
Yeah, but do you think they did it?
I think so.
Was it easy to flip a shot in the early 60s?
Yeah, you actually just
Let's not
when you
forget-
load the film in.
Let's
you
not
just-
forget they filmed
you
this
spin
in
it backwards.
Skeletorama.
You could do that with Skeletorama. You could shoot a skeleton backwards in Skeletorama. It's a proven fact, guys. Everyone knows this. What the hell?
Everybody's talking about it.
Everyone have been for years.
I mean, yeah. I'm surprised it didn't take off. But so the skeleton has risen, and
I have risen.
and is walking around, and they get to the camp where the ship is, and now it's decided, like, because the skeleton's in his big throne, which we all know what that means. They didn't want to have to dangle the skeleton for all those scenes.
Yeah,
They'd
no,
rather
they
just
just
sit him
put it
down
there.
in a chair.
And it was definitely like
Just a cheap
grandma's dining room
Yeah.
chair.
It was just a big wooden chair that wasn't like a footstool. Something that will hold a skeleton.
And they definitely are a fan of the close-up skull shots.
Once again, like with the mutant shot, they reused over and over again. It's the same thing with the close-up skull shot. They reuse it over and over again.
So after a good amount of those, he makes the aliens dance and decides that he's gonna make Lattice his wife.
For some reason.
Just that's his whole plan. That's his grand scheme. His overall motivation.
To marry and then do something else. Wait, what's the skeleton want again? Do we know what the skeleton wants? I forgot what the skeleton
Nope.
wants.
No clue.
No
He
clue.
just wants to be a dick. He wants to be a dick to
walk around and
everybody.
get married, and that's it.
It's what every skeleton wants. Rape and murder. Rape and murder. That's what
I didn't pick that up in
That's
the
what
movie.
skeletons do, man.
I mean, have you
Not paying attention to the skeleton situation?
have you never
guess not.
listened to any Misfits
Skele-
lyrics before?
yeah.
Skeletons rape.
Yeah, they're
and
not
murder.
pleasant.
Yeah,
That's all they
didn't
do.
age well.
They don't sound like a really. Wow, they don't sound like a fun time at the beach, man.
So as they're doing this whole situation, the scientist and his wife they stumble upon all of it.
Yeah, and they're trying to hide in the thing in the brush. Yeah, they're hiding in the brush and they're upset and they're watching all this happen, but they're commenting on it. And
You
time they-
swine!
Yeah, every time they commented on it, everyone kind of looks over and go, "Is there something in the brush?" But they hide, sort of. It's just really funny.
And they just have a quick shot
Quick
where they
shot.
just like show the skeleton with the head
like,
turned to the side.
reacting. Yeah, that's comedy gold. So basically, the scientist and his wife,
Let the dancing resume.
they concoct a plan where the
Oh, it's you.
only way to beat the skeleton and his mind powers, like skeletons have, is to get the mutant to fight the skeleton. And they do it by getting Betty, because the mutant's in love with Betty, getting Betty to lure, get over the mutant to the skeleton to fight him. And that's their master plan.
She does just that.
Yep, she does that. She lures. She lures the mutant over to fight the skeleton. And it's this weird, like, supposed to be like a sexy thing, but it's not that sexy because it's not shot
it
well.
looks like a person trying to be sexy who's not used to being sexy.
Yeah, it's like, here's some of my leg. And
Not
here's
to
me
mention the
looking at you.
fact that Faye Masterson is definitely sexy.
She's sexy as hell.
Definitely is, but like she's playing a character, or she's playing a character who's a bad actress, acting badly.
Yeah.
That's a good concept to think about this movie. Is if like it was all. Don't think of it as people trying to make this movie. Think of it as a bad production crew and bad actors trying to make this movie. I was listening to something once with the guys from Black Dynamite. We've all seen Black Dynamite, right? Mm-hmm. It's like a play on exploitation movie.
Yeah. Excellent, the movie and the cartoon.
Yeah, it's great. But that reason the movie did so well is because the director's like, oh no, I'm not directing Black Dynamite. I'm a guy who's a watch-up director trying to be Black Dynamite. And the main actor who played Black Dynamite, his thing is like, no, I'm not this guy who was in The Dark Knight. I'm a washed-up football player trying to be in a movie once in the 70s. They really get into the vibe of production, and I feel like you catch a bit of that with Lost Skeleton.
Yeah, like they're all playing a double layered role.
They get it.
And it makes it a whole lot of fun to watch. But so after we
dog,
get this,
I heard you liked acting.
So after we get this final battle of epic proportions, all practical effects, mind you, no CGI.
Thanks for pointing that out.
Yeah. Which is nice to see. It's really refreshing.
Between the mutant and the skeleton.
I would hate for some bad CGI to ruin this.
between
phoned
the mutant
in Michael
and the
Bay
skeleton.
CGI, just really everything being thrown at the screen, just ruined this
The
movie.
mutant defeats the skeleton, but the skeleton got his shots in, apparently, I guess.
It's an epic fight.
And
by epic
the
fight, I
mutant
mean the
also
last 5
dies.
minutes. And that's the only thing I can say about
And
it.
we have a nice, like, heartfelt death as Betty says goodbye.
But before that, the skeleton chokes out Dr. What's his name?
Oh yeah, I always hated you.
Always hated you. Which he does. It's made.
He deserved it.
The skeleton hates this guy.
That was a great ending. Like there's very few good fight, like the villain getting his just ends, and when you have multiple villains and the one that is like the kind of destructive, consumptive villain who destroys the kind of imperial villain, I always like that kind of ending where it's like,
listen who's taking this movie kind of seriously.
No, and I'm not trying to take this too seriously, but I'm just saying, like, I love that ending. I love that ending where you have like the true monster takes down the emperor. And that's always a cool ending where it's like you have this.
I always hated you.
Yeah, exactly. I always hated you, but like the
Return
Gollum,
of the Jedi,
the Gollum, Return of the
Jedi, and Animala,
but you have Gollum taking down the ring. You have
Animala called that too,
and there is this story.
It'll be you. He yells at. He always hated you, Roger.
Yeah, and there was
her delivery is always so good.
Oh, she's so great in this.
And she's never done anything. She's only been in stuff that like her husband made.
Is really?
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy.
Stuff.
It's crazy.
It's weird.
Faye Masterson is really the only one who's
Brian Houseman and stuff too, though.
Yeah, he's like a workhorse kind of guy.
Yeah. But like, finish your point, Aaron. I'm actually very interested.
Like he was in Westworld.
It's a stupid thing, and a lot of people aren't going to get it. But it was this thing from Tolkien where Shelob's mother. It was this whole freaking thing where Morgoth was trying to take down like the trees in like the old freaking Lord of the Rings situation.
Silmarillion stuff.
Silmarillion stuff. You know
Backstory
what I'm
stuff.
talking about.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
And
backstory
then Shelob's mother was like the one Morgoth enlisted to take them down, but after she took down the trees, her appetite could not be satiated. So she went after Morgoth, and Morgoth is like, "Oh fuck, like I can't fight against you." And so it was one of those things where it's like you enlist a kind of monstrous devouring force that you cannot control. And
Right.
I always like that concept where it's like the evil, there's this imperial evil, and there's
that's
this
what he
consumptive
wanted.
evil.
Whenever he
Yeah.
first went into the cave, he wanted to be the most powerful scientist in the world.
Exactly.
To do
That's
science.
that's what he wanted out of the skeleton.
And there's that cool, I love that, where you have this consumptive evil versus this imperial evil.
And he became the puppet
Yes.
immediately, without question.
And I'm glad that they included this in that, because that is a cool concept to include when you have this, even something as stupid as this.
As stupid as the Lost Skeleton of Cadavra.
As stupid as it is, they still did that, and I respect this for that. I respect.
Well,
this
that's like
fucking
going
movie.
back to the dinner scene. Like that's what I'm saying. Like as bad as this movie tries to be, there's a handful of things that it can't help
Pure
but do
gold.
really
Yes.
good.
Pure
Yeah.
gold, dude.
It's
It's,
just-
it's a masterclass in comedic timing.
because
A lot of it
this
wouldn't work without timing.
Yeah.
because these people clearly could have been dumb as shit, and they aren't. They know what they're doing. They're creating a narrative. They're creating a story that works for what they're trying to do, and it's functional for as good as it has to be. And I respect them for that. You know, as stupid as it is, as stupid as this movie clearly is, like it's so
Yeah.
enjoyable, and they know what they're doing, and I had a lot of fun with it.
It's a blast.
Yeah.
It's great to throw on at parties.
Oh, for sure. Like
You gotta have a hip crew with
and
it.
and
but,
it
yeah.
it ends on a happy note. Like they kill the skeleton.
They tried. That's what I respect, is they clearly tried to make something, even if it's stupid. They clearly tried and they accomplished it.
And it ends on a happy note. They kill the skeleton. They go back and get the atmospherium.
They split it equitably between Paul
share.
and Crowbar.
They do actual sharing with
Like
the aliens,
the Earth and Mars.
bringing them to weeping, which they actually did give up eons ago,
They turn Animala
along with
back,
messes.
along with messes.
They turn Animala back into 4 woodland critters.
Then they make it a point to say that
Which
they,
is, and
they did do
the
it.
cutaways for the woodland critters are like a possum,
No,
a mouse,
two otters,
2 otters, a
a
mouse,
mouse, and
like a puma?
what looked more like a fox,
a little
A
feline.
lynx, maybe?
maybe a lynx,
Maybe a lynx.
Maybe a lynx.
Yeah. Okay.
but some sort of woodland
Woodland
critter,
feline-esque type critter.
something like that.
Yeah, makes sense.
And that's about where we find our credits.
Yeah.
Is we are
and
left to
the
believe
credits.
that it's happily ever after until we see the end. Question mark?
Scroll.
Or is it?
Scroll.
I mean, really, it's kind of like a new beginning for everybody in a way, right?
Scroll.
I would like to piggyback on what Aaron was saying earlier with the Tolkien reference, and this is totally off topic, but I would love someone to go in and rewrite just one of the random Tolkien books, just so at some point, and it's all exactly like it was originally written, but then like Legolas is just like, fuck.
Taking one look at the 5 armies, and he's just like, oh, god damn it. I'm really fucked up the A on this one. I'm really after the A. I'm Legolas.
And that is where we are left with the Lost Skeleton of Cadavra.
Hell
Now,
of a movie.
apparently, there is more to this story. They made in 2009. They made the sequel, The Lost Skeleton Returns Again. None of us have seen it, so we don't know how it goes.
They've made other movies similar to Lost Skeleton in the same
Well,
type of movie.
they as in Larry Blamire and whoever he brings along with him. I'm not sure what crews he had.
Yeah, I don't know what his company's like, but it's
Well,
Trail
this
of
was
the
a
Screaming
this was a
Foreheads
this was a TriStar movie.
yeah. I feel like they just distributed it though.
I mean, like I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying,
That's a
TriStar
big-
put their
that's a-
name on it.
That's a big company.
They put their name on this movie.
Yeah, they
But-
really believed in it. You don't see that a lot. in
But
big companies.
that's where we stand with Lost Skeleton of Cadavra.
This movie was fun.
It's a fun movie.
I love talking about. I love referencing it. Like, here's the deal: none of us had seen it for years until 2 days ago. But anytime any of us have met up in a while, and Quirk's been out of town for like
6 years.
6 years.
And you were the
before we
one
lived
who
here.
introduced it to both of us.
Both of
I believe
us.
that you saw it independently.
We had an old school movie night back in the day.
Years ago.
But you also like just had like a friend.
Well, like Sam
who
and I
you
watched it
with.
back in high school. So I
Yeah.
worked at Hollywood Video with this like new age stoner hippie manager, and he used to throw it on all the time. So he was a total cinemaphile.
You threw a lot of weird movies at me back then.
honestly
Just-
yeah.
Just because you worked at the Hollywood Video.
Yeah,
because Hollywood rental places were relevant at the time.
you know, and so
Yeah,
I worked with this
dating
guy,
ourselves a
and
little bit.
he's who turned me into a cinemaphile, and then I introduced Sam into so much, and like that's when I first started watching like Brazil, well, anything Terry Gilliam, but The Lost Skeleton, hands down, always one
And just
of my
go
favorites.
back and listen to us talk about Brazil if you want to know how much we love Brazil.
Yeah, and it's been
Boy, do we love Brazil.
Point
It's been
is,
like-
we love
But
Brazil.
the point is, like, we haven't seen each other in a while. We can still reference things from Lost
Is,
Skeleton.
is this a
Often.
movie about Brazil? Like
No.
The country
Nope.
Brazil.
Oh man, you need to be
No.
you need to be educated.
You need to-
I know what Brazil is.
you need to
Yeah, I
go
was
back
gonna
to listen
say,
to your
man, you've got the
podcast.
Criterion Collection at your house, motherfucker.
I've seen Brazil. I was just talking.
Thank
No,
God.
we're not going there right now. But no, this
Wait,
this movie this movie is a classic.
We should do that.
We already did that.
We already did
That was like the second episode, dude.
But this movie is a classic. It's a definitely a hidden gem. It's an underrated classic. It does so many things so well in the sense that it's bad on purpose, and it's hard to pull off bad on purpose.
It is.
Like The Room is bad not on purpose.
Yeah.
Like that's what happens when you try to make something good and you make something bad. This is what happens when you try to make something bad on purpose, and that's almost
and wind
that's
up
almost
making
harder
something
to do.
amazing.
Something great.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And that's
Like,
that's
so
what
much
this movie
effort
is.
into it. It's ridiculous. I do have a comment to say, not about the movie.
Yeah, just final thoughts. Let's get those out.
I have this to say, not about the movie, but about this particular episode of the Autopsy. A few thoughts to throw out there. You saw it back in the day. You saw it back in the day. I saw it back in the day. Aaron saw it back in the day. Gentlemen, we have one rule, and it's okay, but we've broken our one rule, which is at least one person hasn't seen the movie. However, I have 3 thoughts to say this is okay.
We've been doing this for a minute. It's the first time.
It's our first time. We're allowed to do it. I mean, we made the rule. We can do it. 2, this movie, like Ryan said, you can't just kind of remember it. You need to update yourself. It's like watching it for the first time. 2, we wanted to get an autopsy with Quirk while he's in town, and this seemed perfect. Like, when I think of Lost Skeleton, I think of Quirk.
Well, we didn't know
Push it
that.
to us.
Well, like we just throwing it out there. You were out of town this past weekend. We
Yeah.
didn't know that you were going to be able to make it back in time to do one, but we needed to do one tonight.
Yeah.
And Quirk was going to be around, so Quirk was available to sit in, and it just kind of all worked
Yeah.
out perfectly for us all to be here.
I think it was good. It was fun. We watched it.
and
It's
I
fun.
threw out the idea of, hey, what if we talked about Lost Skeleton of Cadavra?
Yeah. So we've broken our one rule. These are 2 or several reasons why it's okay. The third reason, Quirk was in town like a minute before we showed him. Sorry to bother you. So I feel like everything's pretty even right now. I feel like the universe is okay.
But any more thoughts about Lost Skeleton of Cadavra, gentlemen? Going once, going twice.
I sleep now.
Sounds about right. Well, that's going to do it for this episode of Movie Night Autopsy. Thank you so much for joining us. And as always, hit us up all across the webs. We love to know what you guys are thinking. But for now, my name is Sam.
I'm Chad.
I am Aaron.
Hi, I'm Ryan.
And Ryan, thank you so much for joining us this week. And we will catch you guys next time.
What's up, crew? If you got any idea of what you would like for us to talk about on the Minute or on Movie Night Autopsy podcast, hit us up on the social medias. You can hit us up on Twitter at movie_autopsy. Check us out on Facebook at Movie Night Autopsy. Always feel free to email us, contact@movienightautopsy.com.